Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Friday here on the Hot Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm as always your host here, the Hot Patriot, and for today's episode, we come with the unfortunate news of the passing of Chuck Norris, who apparently died this morning at the age of 86. Um, he had a long life, but it's very sad either way. It's always sad when you see somebody that you grew up with and looked up to and stuff like that. Unfortunately passed away, and yeah, it just happened to be, one of those things again. Um, so we'll talk about that for a little bit here in a couple minutes. We're also going to discuss why Moms Demand Action and every other Bloomberg and Giffords created anti-organization in this country are terrorist organizations and should be labeled as such because they fucking are. We're also going to discuss, as the main topic of the day here says, Nitwits with main character syndrome. This is something I've seen in the past day or so, especially with a lot of women that have been, harking at me and stuff like that in the comments of various things that it is. So, for those interested, obviously I got my new Man of God cap here. I'm not really a fan of how they did the layout on this because I really think maybe they should have done it a little bit differently, where they should have done like they should put like man here and then and then put like the word God across the brim here is what it is. Just because unless it's sitting on a shelf like that, like you can't really read it fully is what it is, like with somebody's head. So it's a nice hat though. Fits my head really good, actually. Another hat I got recently that really does piss me off actually was this one. I was trying to get a 250th anniversary hat for the upcoming 4th of July is what it is. I ended up getting this. I didn't realize that it had like these weird ass like pre-cut like things on them is what it is. And I'm having to cut these down a little more because they were so fringed out is what it is. I really don't like how they distress that at all. It's just stupid. They should have just left it a regular brim and stuff like that's what it is. And the way they bent the actual brim, like the sides of the internal part there, like shoved right into my skull is what it is. So it's not really that good of a hat, honestly, for how much it cost, obviously. Which I think are around like $20 or something like that, but even still, it's whatever. That being said, I also did get 2 other hats this week, which were a couple other 250th anniversary ones. We got the 1776 2026 United States of America 250th anniversary hat. Not really a huge fan of how this is put on here, just because you can tell from the outside inlay, both on the outside and on the inside, like when you're going to wear this, it's going to definitely do something. This is what it is. And I think the first time this goes into a washer, this is probably going to get fucked up pretty bad when it is then. So I may have to hand wash that or whatever the case be. The other one I got that was pretty cool, which was this bad boy right here. Very nice. It's American 250th anniversary. So I like it. I like it a lot, actually. Unfortunately, these are all made in China, which, seems like everything's made there these days. But anyway. So Chuck Norris is unfortunately gone, and it'll be interesting to see who else joins him in the afterlife very soon. I don't know if he was a first or a third or a second or whatever it was for those things. The as I call them, the tri-death, I think is what it is, if I'm not mistaken. Where it's like 3 people die in a row, whatever the case be, and they're like all famous or have like some claim to fame or whatever it is there. Or some like name recognition is what it is or something. So I wouldn't be surprised in the least to see Norris either be the first or the last of one of these things. I'm just not sure who else has passed recently is what it is there. So, but yeah, it's a sad situation in a way. And, somebody who grew up watching this dude and, I wouldn't really say idolizing the man, because that's one thing I have realized recently with a lot of like these celebrity deaths and stuff like that is like, it seems like people are just like, oh, why is there like so much idolization of this person? Or especially like wrestlers recently that have passed and stuff like that. Because then when Hulk Hogan died, it was a big thing is what it is there. And I had to explain to somebody, I'm like, well, you got to think about it, man. Like, a lot of us grew up without, fathers in our lives because they either, died before we got to know them, or they, dipped out early in our lives, whatever it was there. Obviously, in my case, my dad, passed away when I was less than 3 years old, what it was. And so, for people like myself, for, guys like me, we're these dudes that look to a father figure. We're these dudes that look to, things like wrestling, things like martial arts, etc. of, like a true alpha male is what it is there, which is how Chuck Norris was at the end of the day. He was a true alpha male is what it is. And honestly, if I had to make like a Hall of Fame of some kind, or like a Mount Rushmore, whatever they call it there is what it is, of like various things. Like, I know there's a bunch of different ones you could do. Obviously, in the case of Chuck Norris, it would be a martial arts Mount Rushmore. And I was thinking about like who would be on it. It would be like him, Bruce Lee, Jason David Frank, and I'm not sure who the fourth guy is, honestly, at the end of the day. But yeah, when you got those three men in there, like, that's a big deal, obviously. And I'm sure there's somebody else, like, I'm not thinking of offhand, that's like a really good martial artist type, or whatever the case. You maybe like Jet Li or something like that. Or like a Jackie Chan or something, maybe. But either way, I'm just thinking about people who have passed, obviously, at this point, that would be on the Mount Rushmore, because obviously, both, as far as I'm aware, both Jet Li and Jackie Chan are both still alive as it is right now. So, but yeah, it's just a sad situation all the way around. And like I said, just, it's a somber day. I do want to apologize for last week for not doing a Freedom Friday, or a Slicey Boy Saturday either, for that matter, because I was having a lot of health issues at the time, specifically with needing to go to the dentist, what it is right now, and I was having toothaches, so I was extremely stoned at the time. And I'm just gonna admit it, I was high as fuck, dude. Like, there's no way I was doing a stream then, because I was literally passed out. So anyway, but it is what it is. Before we get into the rest of the episode today, I do want to bring up something real quick, which is, I don't usually do this, and we at the network don't usually do stuff like this either, for that matter. I'm going to go ahead and do a blanket endorsement for the upcoming political races, though, in the state, because there are candidates that exist right now that have never been in office. They don't have any voting record at all. Of course, my stupid fucking, that was the buses going by or whatever, them to drop the kids off from either high school or middle school. I'm not sure which one it is. But anyway, back to what I was saying, though. So there are people that are running for state rep offices right now, state offices right now in the state of Ohio for the May primaries. And they have never either been in office, or they've either been maybe like a township trustee or something like that's what it is, or a county commissioner or something, maybe at the end of the day. But it's something like very small, or it's like a city councilman or something, where they don't really have any voting record on like 2A stuff is what it is. And so I'm not sure how many people are actually running for office this year or not, but I know there are a bunch that either have never been in office at all, or they've never, held a position where they've had to do like votes for 2A rights is what it is there. And so these are the individuals that I want to do a blanket endorsement of right now. Specifically, there are several of these people. For those who don't know, every year Ohio Gunners does a survey for candidates in the state, and they recently did one on a bunch of different people, including this guy named Aiden Haggard, who got the AQ rating, which is, my understanding, it is the people that basically say that, like, oh yeah, as soon as I get into office or whatever, as soon as there's like gun votes and stuff, I'm going to vote like, yes on constitutional carry stuff, vote yes on Second Amendment sanctuary stuff, etc. There's what it is. And so that's why that guy got an A. The AQ rating is what it is there, because obviously he's not a current state rep, he's not a current state senator, but he's running to be a state rep is what it is. And he's not the only one. There's a few other people that are on that list as well. And I just want to do a blanket endorsement of all these people is what it is right now, because these are the people that need to win these primaries, especially in these congressional districts right now that exist in the state of Ohio, where you have either a bunch of oath-breaking motherfuckers in the positions of power currently is what it is, or you have these spineless ass rhino cunts right now who are actively siding with Democrat oath breakers to fuck with our gun rights is what it is right now. That's why people like Gary Click recently got, I think, was a C- rating from OGO's survey there, because he either refused to do this year's survey, or it was something between that and the fact that he had previously done other stupid shit where he basically sided with Democrats in the previous General Assembly to fuck over our what it is then. And this is the kind of shit that I've talked about many, many times in the past. Like, there needs to be auto DQs from office at this point in this country, dude. And there needs to be especially auto DQs from the running at this point. Like, I know recently it was this past Tuesday, I believe, was when Illinois had their primaries, is what it is there. And you had that cat girl. I forget what her name is offhand. It's like Cat. It almost sounds Middle Eastern, is what her last name sounds like, but that's something real weird. But anyway, the entire point of the matter is this bitch is a domestic terrorist. And yet she was able to run for Congress still while being under indictment and potentially being charged federally with fucking with ICE and stuff like that's what it is, dude. So, like, I don't understand how she was in the race still is what it is. And that's what I'm saying. It's shit like that. There needs to be like auto DQ from office, whether it be you're under FBI indictment, whether it be you're under, federal indictment, whatever it is there, or whether it be, you're running on a platform that's anti-gun or anti-life or anything like that's what it is there. So, and especially when you're, anti-God, that's what it is. For those that haven't been paying attention to the hat, obviously they don't see it there. You obviously got the lion here. Right now. Got the lion there, and then right underneath the lion is Jesus Christ, is what it is. So, anyway. But yeah, there's a bunch of shit. These people are allowed to run for office when they're clearly oath breakers, so it is there. And transitioning from that to other stuff we're going to talk about today, which is obviously the Nitwits main character syndrome thing. For those who don't know what main character syndrome is, it's basically something that somebody came up with a few years back now is what it is. And essentially what it equates down to being is you act like you're the main character and stuff, or like some individual acts like their main character or something, when in reality they're either some background character or there's some unwanted extra is what it is there in somebody else's, life or whatever it is there. And I saw this quite a bit in the last like 12 to 24 hours, give or take now. And it was because there was a post I saw yesterday, I think it was on Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. And it was talking about the possibility of them finally drafting women into the U.S. military if there's ever another draft and stuff like that. Which, I don't understand why this isn't a thing that crossed the board now is what it is, dude. I don't understand why this hasn't been a thing across the board for like 40 to 50 years, honestly. Like, really since the 70s, honestly. It should have been a reality then. Because if you're going to have a woman in a military role or whatever the case be, dude, like, or if they're going to have voting rights or whatever the case be, like, yes, they should be at 18 years old. They should be forced to do, to sign that piece of paper is what it is, to be eligible for the draft until they're 25 years old is what it is then. And especially when you have these chicks now who are, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, something like that, and have, 2-3 abortions under their belt is what it is there, because they just want to keep, offing their offspring. Like, maybe they should be the first in the fucking line is what it is then to be in these drafts is what it is then. Because obviously they're a genetic identity is what it is at the end of the day. So, but yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit, honestly, dude. And basically from that, what it came about was that you had stupid people who were too dumb to realize that people like Barron Trump are already, put in the draft when they turn 18 is what it is there, basically have to sign in, or they're going to be, susceptible to various arrest stuff is what it is there, which that's the thing at the end of the day. If you don't do that kind of stuff as a male at age 18, like, you are potentially facing arrest charges, what it is there, for attempting to draft dodge is what it is. And, or selective service dodge, I guess is what it would be technically speaking, but the whole point is, like, you gotta sign up for like selective services, what it is there, as a guy. And it's not fun, dude. It's not fun at all. Because especially if there ever was a draft, like, you're in that 7-year age range, that you could be drafted and stuff. And so to have all these, various entitled females out there that are all like, no, we shouldn't be drafted because fuck that, or, oh, the president's son should be drafted first and stuff like that. It's like, he's already part of the draft, you dumb fucking cunts. Like, that's what you don't understand. Like, you're too fucking stupid to understand that. And so, yeah, I'm going to call your shit out what it is there. And that's what I did. I called out some woman's bullshit. And was like, oh, yeah, well, your entire family should be drafted too, you dumb bitch. So, and then, of course, it was, I don't think that's how I phrased it. It was something about, like, her family should be drafted or something. That's what it is there. And then, of course, you have, like, and mind you, like, when I make a comment like that, it's usually a statement. It's not meant to be responded back to, whatever the case be. But then there's, like, 3 or 4 other stupid fucking retarded cunts who decided to make it fucking, an actual conversation then for no reason at all, just to physically attack me is what it is then. I guess not physically, it would be verbally attack, but yeah, I guess it'd be internet attack me. I don't know. Whatever the term is there, it would be. But yeah, they basically just like threw a bunch of comments in there to talk shit at me is what it is then. So, and then I reflect all their asses out at that point then, and I was like, well, fuck you too then. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like, these are the stupid bitches that have like main character syndrome. These are also tend to be the same stupid bitches that are the mamas and action types of the world who will sit there and actively try to fuck over your Second Amendment rights, falsely claim to be volunteers for Michael Bloomberg, when in reality they're actually paid propagandists of his bullshit is what it is, dude, and paid liars is what it is, which is what happened this past week here in Ohio, which I'm going to go ahead and read this article here as soon as I can pull it up here. Hang on. Yeah, Ohio chapters of money action call for gun safety improvements across the state, which is absolute bullshit. What they were calling for was they were basically trying to fuck over constitutional carry, and specifically House Bill 495, which would lower the constitutional carry age to 18, which is what it should have already been at this point, for concealed carry / constitutional carry. And I actually had a conversation with a bunch of people in the comment section of that particular article as well, because that was a Facebook post initially. That was like the local news station there. And there's a bunch of people that were all like, oh, well, you have to be over 21 to buy a gun from an FFL if you're buying a handgun. And it's like, yeah, that's you're buying from an FFL, dude. Like, you can still legally be 18 years old, 19 years old, or 20 years old in the state of Ohio and legally own / possess a handgun is what it is there. You would just buy it in a private sale, or you would be gifted it by a parent or, a relative of some kind is what it is there in most cases. Because people don't realize, or you could even go out there and 3D print a gun for yourself if you wanted to, And you can legally do that stuff at 18, 19, or 20 years old in the state of Ohio. And a lot of other states for that matter, as it should be, is what it is. Because this is the problem, is that you have these people who are either trying to run for office or have either run for office and successfully got in there and stuff like that, who want to be a bunch of oath-breaking douchebags, when in reality, their entire point of being a elected official, of being a literal civil servant of this country, is so that they can sit there and protect our constitutional God-given rights is what it is, our inalienable rights, our Bill of Rights, our, Constitution, everything after the Bill of Rights, obviously, and specifically the Bill of Rights, obviously, because, you look at the Bill of Rights and it's like, what is the one right that American citizens have that is not to be infringed upon? It is the Second Amendment. And what is the most infringed upon constitutional right in this country? It is the Second Amendment. And that is what I'm saying. Like, honestly, like, all these people who are with freaking scumbags like that, they need to be kicked out of office immediately, dude. Like, the second you attack the Second Amendment, whether it be sponsoring legislation to curtail it, whether it be co-sponsoring legislation to do so, whether it be, actively discussing it, whether it be running on platforms for political office to, fuck over the 2A rights of people and stuff like that. Like, your ass needs to be in prison at that point, honestly. Like, you need to be personally kicked out of the fucking race forever if you're running for office. If you're already holding office, you get out of office for life at that point. and arrested for deprivation of laws. What it is there, because the thing is, with deprivation of rights under color of law, you are actively trying to deprive American citizens of our God-given constitutional rights to keep and bear arms, and in doing so, you are actively trying to fuck over everybody's rights at that point in history, and it's not okay, and it's not right. And my biggest gripe with the fact of the matter is that deprivation of rights under color of law is only a misdemeanor crime in this country when it should be a federal fucking felony. And it should be an enforced federal felony. Because the big difference between a misdemeanor and a felony, obviously, is if you're actually holding office as an elected official, as a politician, whatever the case be, congressman, senator, state rep, state senator, whatever the case be, governor, president, whatever it is there, doesn't matter. If you are actually committing that felony, you can be citizens arrested out of office by the American people. However, if you're committing a misdemeanor crime, you cannot have that thing happen to you. So it's a bunch of shit, honestly, at the end of the day. But yeah, so basically MDA was down there bitching and moaning. I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday this week about trying to fuck over people's 2A rights and stuff like that again. And they are a terrorist organization, dude. Like the fact that, and I've talked about this before, I'm not saying we'll talk about it right now, honestly. 2021, May, almost 5 years ago to the day now. These fucking cunts were down at the State House. This was during the time that constitutional carry was being passed through the House Oversight Committee at the time. Then current state rep, and current Secretary of State candidate, Allison Russo, who at the time was trying to run for a special election for a congressional seat in federal Congress, proceeded to walk into this hearing. There was about 10 or 12 Muslim main action members sitting in front of her in various benches. There's what it is. And at least one of them pulled something out of a bag, which was a fucking thick-ass envelope like this, which was clearly full of cash. Like, you can tell. Like, all you had to do was basically look into the damn thing, and you could have found out it was fucking full of money, honestly, dude. But yeah, it was clearly like an envelope stuffed full of cash is what it is. So it was thick as fuck, basically. Hands it to one of the other members of MDA. That woman turns around, because she's sitting right in front of Allison Russo, hands it to Russo, who has a coffee cup in one hand, takes the envelope in the other hand, shoves it in her bag as fast as she possibly can, and then proceeds to, about a minute later, get up and walk out. She was only in that hearing for like 2 to 3 minutes, and it was specifically to get that envelope full of cash is what it is, dude. This was never investigated by the state of Ohio. I actually talked to my ex-state rep, Reggie Stolfus, at the time, and I was like, why did you guys never investigate this? He's like, we didn't know about it, dude. And I'm like, are you going to investigate that now that you do know about it? And he's like, well, it's kind of hard to investigate an envelope being passed between people. It's like, is it dumb, motherfucker? Because I'm pretty sure that, like, when you have at the same exact time, previous, who was it now? Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court, Maureen O'Connor, was pushing for different maps at the time then, because this is back in 2022 this happened, or 2021, 22 this happened. We were trying to do the 2022 maps at the time. You cannot sit there and tell me that video evidence of Russo walking out of that hearing and potentially either walking directly to O'Connor's office and handing that envelope to her people to bribe her off, or that it was something where Allison herself was being bribed off to push a bunch of anti-gun bullshit for MDA, which is what she did right after that again, is what it is. And that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, these people are clearly bribing people. Hell, there was a state senator in Florida like 4 or 5 years ago now. Maybe it's even 6 years ago now, I'm thinking about it. Because it was around like 2020 maybe or so. Maybe it was right before that, maybe like 2019 or so, give or take. So it might have been like 7 years now. This dude openly was on the Florida Senate floor at the time and admitting to taking bribes from Michael Bloomberg's organizations, and was still a sitting state senator at the time then, dude. After that, and I'm like, how the fuck is this dude not drummed out of office immediately, dude? Like, how is he not booted the fuck out of office immediately then? Like, it just blows my mind, honestly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this is why these people are terrorist organizations, because they are openly committing crimes to get the most anti-gun, anti-life bullshit passed in the society is what it is, dude. When you actually look into the textbook definition of terrorism in this country, It might even be that sophisticated. I'm trying to think how that word is pronounced now. Sophatic terrorism, which is the one where you basically say some bullshit or whatever that's like really slanderous or whatever, and somebody else carries out the attack is what it is there. Because that could easily be what Mom's main action really is at the end of the day, honestly, dude. Would be that kind of terrorist is what it is then. Same thing with Gifford, the same thing with all people what it is there. Because the thing of the matter, fact of the matter is, when you look at who is funding like 90% of these groups, whether it be MDA, whether it be Students in Main Action, whether it be Everytown, et cetera, Brady, all these ones like that, it's all Michael Bloomberg, dude. It's all a fucking pedophile piece of shit criminal who is funding all crap. So, but yeah, specifically, the definition of terrorism is the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in pursuit of political, ideological, or social agendas by coercing governments or societies, which is exactly what fucking MDA is doing right now, dude, because they are specifically doing intimidation tactics by busting, and mind you, none of these fucking cunts are organic, by the way. They all claim to be volunteers and shit for these organizations, dude. When you're literally being bussed into Columbus, Ohio, or any other state for that matter, like any other state capital for that matter, you are not, in fact, a volunteer for anything. You are a paid fucking puppet of some piece of shit in another state is what it is then. And this is the thing I don't understand about how Bloomberg is even allowed to influence stuff like that, because the dude is from New York. Like, it'd be one thing if he was sitting there trying to fuck over New York gun rights and stuff like that, right? Like, that'd be one thing entirely. At least you're in your home. When you were coming to my state, when you were coming to Indiana, when you were coming to Idaho, when you're coming to California, when you're coming to Michigan, when you're coming to Illinois, when you're coming to Wisconsin, et cetera, there, or you're having your puppets on the ground there come for you is what it is there, to spew a bunch of fucking nonsense and lies is what it is. It's not okay. It's not right, dude. And it shouldn't be legal at all for that matter. Because these fucking people are political scum, dude. They are literal terrorists. And need to be labeled as such. It needs to be just like Antifa, dude. The only difference between Mom's Main Action and Antifa is, you might as well say it's a coordinated thing at that point. You might as well say it is more like that's sophisticated terrorism thing. Because when you have one set of people attempting to disarm you, make you into a future victim because of that disarmament, and then you have the second group being an Antifa type or a Black Lives Matter type or something like that's what it is there, who are openly trying to beat the fuck out of you in the streets is what it is then for your political views or your, love of God and Jesus and stuff like that, whatever it is there, because they're a bunch of demons. When they are trying to physically assault you, when they're trying to physically attack you like that, it's not okay, bro. It really isn't. And I'm personally just sick and tired of what it is, man. So I'm not so sure my neighbor lady didn't just walk out the door a couple minutes ago and go some places what it is then, because she realized I was filming or whatever. So, check my phone real quick to make sure I didn't get a text from anybody here. Nope, I did not. I'm surprised my landlord hasn't gotten back to me today. So I texted him like a week ago. Almost. It was last Saturday. I was like, hey, dude, like, I'd like to go month to month starting next month. Like, what's the deal here? Am I still going to pay the, current $725 or is it going to be more than that? And he's like, oh, I got to look at taxes and property and like, I forget what he said, something about like tax returns or something. And then like, what would it have been then? Yeah, it was like insurance or some kind. I'm not sure. I think maybe it's property insurance or something like that. What it is then? It's like, or you could have just said to me like, yeah, it'll be at least 25 higher now or something like that, dude. Because I know that the woman who moved in behind me here is what it is now. She's paying $50 right now a month. So I don't know why he didn't just say like, oh yeah, it's gonna be up to $750 now or whatever the case be. Like, it's just stupid. So I'll give him like another day or so, but if he doesn't get back to me by sometime tomorrow, like, I'm just gonna flip. Honestly, I'm just gonna write out a check tonight. Is what it is. Then I'll just flip into the fucking mailbox tomorrow if that'll be the case. Then, so because I'm not about to get screwed over like that and have it be a situation where this dude didn't get back to me in a timely enough manner, and I end up being late with rent or something like that, dude, or he tries to fuck me over because I'm late with rent or something like that. What it is then. He never actually told me a whole thing. But I mean, I guess technically I could probably send it out next Friday, and it might be there by. Well, I guess, yeah, technically I do have another week is what it'd be then, because I don't have to send out to like Monday, like a week from Monday. For it to really be, well, I guess technically it'd be Friday or Saturday of next week, and then it'd be Monday or Tuesday until I get there, so it'd be next Wednesday, or 2 weeks from, or yeah, it'd be a week from Wednesday, it'd be the first, that's what it is. So, it's crazy to think I've been living for almost a year now is what it is. So, but yeah, that, I'm still gonna write that book though, is what it is at some point, about the asshole who used to live behind me is what it is then. Because that guy was just a dick. Which really I blame whoever created this place, because they really should have put like some form of insulation between these walls is what it is, man. Because there really is nothing here. Like if somebody coughs loud enough in one of these adjacent units, I can hear them is what it is, dude. So, or God forbid they're taking a shit at 2:30 in the morning like I do sometimes. So, but yeah, it's whatever. But anyway, needless to say, MDA is a bunch of fucking retarded pieces of shit, basically. They need to be labeled as a terrorist organization. They are what it is at the end of the day. And they're a bunch of scumbags, dude. And what I think is interesting is going back to specifically this local news affiliate article here that they were talking about here. Because I was looking into the one that they're discussing here is what it is. So basically, we're going to read a little bit of this right now is what it is. So actually, I'm going to point some out here. So you see how the benches are here is what it is that they're sitting on. So if you look back to the back here, where it's maybe about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 rows back or so, it would have been about the 8th row is where Alison Russo was sitting back in 2021 when she took that bribe from these bitches is what it is then. So, yeah, I think it's interesting is how they portray this article. Here's what it is, where it starts out as, Michelle Bell made the trip from Cleveland to Columbus to demand change in the state house surrounding gun laws. Bell says her son, Andre Brown, was killed in a double homicide in 2019. While the case remains unsolved, her work pushing for safe communities moves forward. So I looked into this woman after that because I was trying to see, it's like, okay, so is she, like, I assume she was black, but like, let's go ahead and find out just to make sure on that one. Turns out she is. Turns out her son was also black at that point. Turns out it seems like her son was probably involved in some gangbanging shit back in 2019 that got him killed. And yet she wants to bitch and moan about, like, this is why we need better gun safety, why we need to push a bunch of anti-gun bullshit. It's like, no, bitch, this is why you need to tell your fucking piece of shit kids to stop being a bunch of goddamn gangbanging pieces of shit is what it is there. Stop being a bunch of fucking YN losers is what it is there. And actually get a fucking real job instead of slinging fucking dope and shit and then wonder why they get fucking killed is what it is there. So, and I almost guarantee the reason that has been all for 7 fucking years now is because the same piece of shit wine that killed her son and somebody else that day probably killed some other people now, is my guess, honestly. And is probably in prison for somebody else's murder is what it is right now. So, that's usually what happens at the end of the day, or they just get away with it, what it is there. That's one thing I've noticed recently, too, is there's a lot of people that will come from Chicago area down into, like, Cleveland and other major cities here in Ohio and cause a bunch of violence is what it is there. And what's interesting is almost every single gun that they're doing with their gangbanging shit is what it is either stolen firearms from gun shops that were stolen from, or it's stolen firearms from people's cars or houses that were robbed or broken into. So it's all, and that's the thing too, like, this is what I don't understand with these people. It's like the mindset of these women is what it is, man. Because, and especially like the Dougs and stuff that are also part of MDA and stuff like that as well. Because it's just nonsense mindset, dude, is what it is. you are actively bullshitting about something when the reality of the matter is you know nothing about the shit at all. You are actively lying to people in these hearings because you're pushing forward nonsense that is these falsified data is what it is at the end of the day, where when you look into when these fucking retarded pieces of shit claim like, oh, children's deaths are so bad because of guns and stuff like that, but then you actually look into what Bloomberg Company have pushed as these children's deaths, and it literally goes from the age of 0 to the age of 19, which is 18 and 19 are legal adults, by the way. I want to put that one out right now. At the end of the day, dude, they're not kids. They're legal fucking adults. They can legally vote in this country. And when they push that crap in there, like, of course, it's going to make it seem like it's way worse than it is. And then when you start looking into when you start breaking it down, looking into it and stuff like that, which I've done for the past, 7+ years now is what it is, that I've been fighting for gun rights in the state. Every single one of these lying pieces of shit, they will never exclude data from gangs. They will never exclude data from gang bangers. And that's where they get all these bullshit stats from. Like, you'll have these idiots, they'll sit there and be like, oh, there was like 20 YNs having a fucking gangland turf war like 5 blocks from a school, but yet somehow that's considered a school shooting now. Even though it happened, 5-6 blocks from the school, and it was in the fucking 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning is what it is, dude. It's like, it's not a school shooting, you dumb bitches. You making up lies to push your bullshit narratives is what it is there. To push your terrorism is what it is on society. And it's a bunch of shit, honestly, dude. I'm so fucking sick and tired of it. So, but yeah, I guarantee this woman's son was killed because he was a fucking idiot. And he probably did some shit that got him killed, is my guess, honestly. So, a couple other things on top of the day before we leave, obviously. That was like the main topic of the day, obviously. This one I found about maybe 15 to 20 minutes before we started today, which I thought was pretty interesting, which is, where's that here now? Jehovah's Witnesses ease policy on transfusions, allow storage and use of one's own blood. I didn't realize they didn't do that before this, honestly. So I never realized that was part of their like religious sect or whatever there. So I know some of them came by here a couple months ago, the bitch and moan at me or whatever the case be. Thankfully, I was I was not paying attention at the time, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be over here now doing whatever. Then I think it was actually in my bedroom sleeping is what it was at the time that they came. So, and of course we got this interesting one, which is U.S. Mint can begin to produce Trump commemorative gold coin. Be interesting to know how much that's going to be worth now. Let's see if it actually says here or not. See, Federal Election Commission update approved final design for 24-karat gold commemorative coin bearing Donald Trump's image. Help celebrate 250th anniversary on July 4th. Let's see. Let's see how much it's going to cost, though. I mean, the fact that it's a 24-karat gold coin is probably going to be quite expensive, is my guess. Given the fact that gold is like $7,000 or $8,000 an ounce now, or crazy like that. So, let's see what actually says from out there. All right, it's talking about the coins. Let's actually see how much it costs. Diameters. Does not look like it. Weird. You would think they would have said like a cost in there or something. Who knows? Whatever. It is what it is. So a couple other ones I want to talk about today, though, besides that one. This one is actually something that people should be aware of. I don't know if people out there are aware of this yet or not. For those who have children, obviously. We had Nearly 90,000 bottles of children's ibuprofen recalled due to quote-unquote foreign substance. Products were removed following complaints describing a gel-like mass and black particles in the medication. I swear to God, dude, like, ever since we started having crackdowns on illegals in this country, it seems like shit's gone, like, so south when it comes to our food supply and everything else like that, for that matter. So I don't know, these fuckers are, like, shitting in bottles of medication now, or what the fuck's going on, dude, or even just shit in the food supply, for that matter. You know, fucking wiping their ass with their hand and fucking, like, throwing out a bunch of beef or something like that, and then you got a recall, like, 6 months later or something. So, who knows, but, yeah, it's just ridiculous either way, and it's like, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of fuckery going on right now is what it is, man. But that one actually seems more like bioterrorism, honestly. So, which I know when you're fucking with, I know it's, I forget what the actual charge is, but that's when you're fucking with the food supply or you're fucking with medications. It was both, I think both these things were occurred. It was either late 70s or early 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Because it was kind of like tampering and stuff like that. It was there, like food tampering and medication tampering, stuff like that. Because there was that whole medication thing back in the day, where it was, I forget exactly what. It might have been like kids ibuprofen or kids Tylenol or something like that. That somebody put like some like crazy meth or crack into or whatever, because they were like ripping the bottles open, and like popping it in there and like resealing it somehow is what it is. And that's basically what led to the whole like food administration creating those specific federal felony charges that is there. So, but yeah, it's just interesting either way. And like I said, I find it very, very suspicious that you're doing, and I'm guessing that recall right there being the fact that it was only 90,000 bottles. I think that's on the low end, honestly. I think there's probably going to be a bigger recall very soon as it'll be then. Probably either bigger recall or more extensive recall, be my guess. Because there's a lot of that stuff going on right now that I think is definitely going to be pulled from the market very soon as it'll be then. Because who's to say what the extent is, obviously, at this point. But anyway. Second to last thing I want to talk about here for articles we have on here right now, which is that James, I forget how to pronounce that guy's last name, Takaro or something like that. He's the idiot Democrat state rep there that's now trying to run for the U.S. Senate. And one of the Democrat prime members is Crockett the other day there in Texas. So my thing is, neither he nor she should have even been in that primary to begin with, is what it is there, because they're both criminals. The fact that this guy's even a current state rep there in Texas when he's missed like almost 500 votes is fucking ridiculous, dude. He should be immediately booted out of office for life, is what it is right there. And not only that, but he should also be put in prison because he's actively stolen from the Texas taxpayers by refusing to do his fucking job and still taking a paycheck, is what it is there, man. So, which to me, and I guarantee anybody else that would pay attention to it, is definitely misuse of taxpayer funds then for his paychecks when he's not doing his job. But yeah, you got this fucking retard now saying, talking about no meat controversy explains a lot about America, is what this Vox article says here. It's just a response to Texas Senate candidates' comments on animal welfare highlight the challenge of talking about meat U.S. politics. Yeah, it's for meat in any country, you dumb fucks. Why don't you fuck off? How about that? Like, it's not that hard, dude. Like, if you want to go eat the bugs, take your globalist ass to another fucking country, bitch. It's that simple. End of story. And then finally, the last one I want to discuss, which is something that came up recently, right before I started this episode today, which was why the FBI buying people's location data and how it is using the information. This is FBI director revealed agency has resumed buying private information en masse in possible controversial. Fuck, how is that? Get the hell out of my face with this shit, Guardian, you fucking douchebags. Yeah. Possible constitutional violation. So it depends on that one, right? Like, it depends on what you're using it for, obviously. If you're specifically buying it to get it off the black market, actually make logical sense. That to me would be a good thing, obviously. And if you're then, potentially destroying people's private information at that point, that you bought off a black market like that so that people can't use it against someone in the future, even better. However, as we know, when it comes to government, nothing government does is ever good. I'll just say it like that, dude. It's a bunch of bullshit all the way around in most cases. When you see any of this stuff going on, whether it be 2020 lockdowns, whether it be anything else before or after that now, it's all for power and control, dude. It's all to expand power. It's all for these elitist scumbags. It's all for these globalist scumbags to extend their power and try to fuck over our rights at the end of the day. So, which is what it is in almost all cases there. So I'm just kind of sick and tired of what it is, man. And it just depends on what they're buying it for and what they're doing with it, obviously. Because, yes, it could be a constitutional violation. However, because I'm wondering when they say a constitutional violation, what they mean by that, if they mean it's like a Fourth Amendment rights violation, because it would be illegal seizures of private information and stuff like that, maybe. So, because that would be my only guess, honestly. Like, you could fall under a couple different ones for the Bill of Rights. Actually, it could be Fourth Amendment rights violations for illegal searches / seizures. Well, I don't know if it would be to illegal search and seizure. Not that be the case. It might be considered an illegal seizure. That be the case though, because I think especially for not paying for it, obviously. But it seems like they are paying for it. So I don't know if that would be considered illegal seizure or not, or if it would just be like it'd be like a weird gray area. I think is what it is there. But then you also have on top of that, you would have, the stuff obviously being a black market is what it is there. People buy up and stuff like that. So it's hard to say, man. So yeah, it's really hard to give a definitive answer on that one, just because of the fact that you have no idea why it's being bought or what it's being used for, what it is there. Because it could be used for surveillance state stuff, dude. It could be some Palantir shit, honestly, or something similar to that for that matter, where they're creating some spy network is what it is there, using people's private information, that's what it is, and location data and stuff. Which, again, just to point out on that one, your cell phones. When you get a new cell phone, usually there is location data stuff on there that you have to turn off. What it is. And I would suggest everybody do that right now, obviously, dude. If you don't know about how to do that, look it up and do it right now is what it is. I don't have location sharing on my phone. I've never let any app use location sharing for me is what it is because of all that stuff. And I think it's exactly that reason why right there is because FBI shit like that is what it is there, dude. Now, granted, that being said, if it turned out it was something where the feds were doing that stuff because they were trying to bust, various Islamic terrorist sleeper cells in this country, that would make absolute total sense. That's what it is. Why they're buying that information, because you're trying to bust up these terror networks, as it would be then potentially. And that would actually make logical sense then. But again, it depends on what they're actually doing with what is there. So, but the entire point of the matter is that when you allow any agency, any, government entity, whatever it is there, to have the absolute power, it's going to corrupt absolutely is what it is, man. And so, yeah, you got to have those checks and balances is what it is, man. And this is the thing. This is why I kind of wish I had the ability to time travel back into history is what it is there, dude, because I would definitely, if I could use that power to do that, I would 100% go back to the 1770s and talk to some of our founding fathers and be like, hey, here's the deal, man. There's going to be all these agencies created that are, government done stuff, and it's going to be for them to expand power when they shouldn't have the power is what it is, man. You guys got to put stuff in this Bill of Rights here to curtail that shit is what it is. So, but yeah, I don't think our founders ever saw or ever envisioned that kind of insanity is what it is right now, how much government entity power we have right now that shouldn't have power at all is what it is right now. All these different alpha agencies, whether it be the CIA, FBI, ATF, DOJ, DHS. Trying to think what else now. DIA is another one.
I don't really want to say ICE particularly because they actually are doing stuff right now is what it is, which actually that was another one I want to talk about today, actually. For those that haven't seen it, the latest episode of The Pit, of course, it went anti-ICE now is what it is, which is funny to me because, and that's why specifically, that was me that called out Noah Wiley's ass on the network's X page the other day about that. It's so ridiculous, dude. Like, so, spoiler alert for those that haven't seen the episode, I'm just going to spoil it right now is what it is. You essentially have two ICE agents take some woman into the ER who is a detainee because she was trying to run for it and apparently was trampled by a bunch of other illegal aliens that were with her. There's what it is. You have all these doctors bitching and moaning about, like, why the fuck are ICE here? And then it's funny because you have, like, 10 people, 20 people, whatever it is, zipping out the fucking doors, what it is there. And you later have Noah Wiley's character bitching and moaning about, like, you guys even being here has fucked over my staff and my people or whatever the case be. It's like, well, here's a wild idea, bro. Maybe we don't hire illegal aliens to be nurses and fucking various, kitchen staff or cafeteria staff or really anything for that matter in a hospital. And actually maybe hire American citizens because that would actually make logical sense to do that stuff, which is actually one thing I want to talk about today at the end of this episode here, which is there's another thing I saw on Discord earlier I'm going to go grab real quick because it was discussing about American jobs in this country. There's another thing, too, by the way, is like the foreign national influence in our country right now is what it is because you have all these illegals taking jobs that should be going to Americans is what it is, man. And that's the whole entire problem with the visa system right now is what it is, that how it's created because you have it being so exploited right now where you have these bullshit job listings put up by these various companies who are like, oh, we need X, Y, and Z thing, whatever the case be. But as soon as you would have an American be able to call up and be like, hey, I want this job, then they can't go hire an illegal or they can't go hire some H-1B import, whatever it is there, or any other visa program import, what it is, man. And that's exactly why they hide all these listings in like various magazines or something like that are like some Indian magazine or some like Mexican magazine, whatever it is there. That is only going to be those people reading that shit. And then they'll be the ones calling in there and being like, oh, yeah, I want this job now, whatever the case be. When in reality, you should be paying a living wage to an American citizen first and only. But anyway. Yeah, here's the two listings I was looking at, or the two X posts I was looking at earlier here. So I can pull it up real quick. So you got the first one here. Yeah, why is it wanting to come up now? That's what it is. Hang on, give me a minute. See if I can reload these or not. So it's not wanting to load up properly or something there. It's weird. Taking forever. Okay, here we go. One in four unemployed Americans have been looking for work for over 6 months now, per CNBC. And then you had the second one here, which was the average job opening now receives 242 applications, triple the 2017 average, which is just insane, dude. And again, like, this is what happens when you import the fucking third world into America, dude. You create this crazy deal, you create baseline jobs, and you don't do cost of living increase, you don't do wage management, stuff like that. That's what it is, man. Where you can actually have, and I got to talk to my sister last night about this, actually, about people not having kids anymore. And she's like, oh yeah, it's because the living is so much is what it is and whatever there. And I'm like, but the thing about this, though, it's like, it should not have to be that way, and it doesn't have to be that way. And we could easily make it not that way. if we literally deport like anywhere from like 70 to 100 million motherfuckers, what it is, man. Which, you know, I know some people are like, oh, 30, 40, whatever it is. It's like, no, it's going to be at least 100 million at this point, honestly. And I would say of that 100 million, it's going to be more like probably anywhere from like 30 to 50 million need deported, period. The other, you know, 50, 60 million, whatever it is there, are such hardcore violent criminals. They just need to be executed on the spot, is what it is right now. I'm just going to say it like this, man. I got no qualms about saying that shit. We need to have public hangings again. And the fucking story. We need to have public execution in this country. Where these motherfuckers are literally strung up from the fucking balls, is what it is, man. We need to bring back hardcore shit like drawn and quartering. We need to create different death penalty methods, like the boats coming back again now. For those who know what the boats are, there's another term for it. I think it's like skepticism or something like that. But basically, what it used to be was it was back in, I think it was either medieval times or it was like Roman Empire times, someplace in there. You would take a person who was guilty of some crime, whatever it is there, usually like, you know, child molestation stuff, whatever the case be. They would put them in like two little like pirogue kind of boats, is what it is there, where you have like 1 foot in one foot in the other, so you're like kind of like swaying back and forth like that's what it is. Before they did that, is what it is they would fill them full of milk and honey, because apparently that combination basically makes it so that you're essentially like constipated, but you're still like having like, it's like a weird like constipation diarrhea is what it creates in your system, is what it is there. And so what they would do is they would put them in these boats, and then they would like chuck a bag full of rats in the boat with them, is what it is there. And needless to say, it was not a good outcome for them because they were shitting themselves, and you would have the rats find their way up to the poop honey milk mixture, and yeah, they would gnaw the town, man. So, which is exactly how we should deal with pedophiles in this country right now, is what it is. And any kid killer and stuff like that, is what it is, man. So, but yeah, there's other death penalty methods that can be done too for various crimes and stuff like that. And we could easily have a better country overall then of actual law and order, of actual restorative justice in this country, where nobody's immune from the law, is what it is. So, and they all face the judgment of God. That's what it is there. So, but yeah, anyway. One more thing I want to talk about today, actually. Well, two more things, actually, relating to YN specifically, is what it is there. So for those that have been paying attention to the case down in Florida there, you had those three, I believe two of them were teenagers, one was 12. And they basically participated in a gang rape of some girl who was also 12. I want to say it was about a year ago or so, give or take now. In the past couple weeks now, you've had the idiot father of the 12-year-old, and I think it was his aunt too, if I'm not mistaken. Both came out, were like, oh, he fucking did nothing wrong, and basically saying like she deserved it and stuff like that. And then you had this past week here, this little sack of shit who was in court next to his, I think it was 13-year-old defendant or whatever, who was one of his buddies that was also raping this girl at the time. And you had his dumbass lawyer be like, oh, my client is remorseful and everything else like that. Meanwhile, they literally pan the camera to this asshole 12-year-old. And this motherfucker was grinning and smirking and laughing and shit about the whole situation. And this is what I'm saying, man. Like, that shit is demonically evil. You need to fucking wipe that stuff off the fucking earth at that point, bro. Like, it needs to be entire bloodlines wiped the fuck out on that one, man. Especially when his piece of shit father and piece of shit aunt are like the exact same way as he is, like gone from this fucking earth, dude. All three of them is what it needs to be. Like there's clearly evil in that fucking family bloodline. And that's all I'm about the end of the day. So like really truthfully in a just world, we would have such hardcore punishments for certain things in this nation, dude, that like nobody want to do that stuff again, you know? Or if you're going to embezzle a bunch of money from people, you basically, you know, get the screws turned on you and It's basically a situation where like every dime like 3 generations your family ever make are going to be gone to somebody else with this or something. So I don't know. I know we could definitely fix things right now. It's just a matter of getting stuff done. Is actually when I was talking to my sister yesterday about this, about the situation with the other stuff I was mentioning earlier. We were discussing. Well, she was the one that brought up universal healthcare actually, and I was like, "You realize they have that in Canada right now, and they're euthanizing people. They're literally killing people." Like there was actually 2 different stories I heard about here in the last year or so. Where there was one, it was a I want to say she was like 50 or 60 something, but she had been in the, I think it was Canadian Special Forces or something, and she was an actual combat vet in one of these wars like a couple of decades ago now. And this woman got injured, and she had, it was a what do you call it, a stair lift thing in her house, because she couldn't obviously walk up her stairs anymore because of how her injuries were and stuff like that. Because I think she had to have like fusion surgery or something like that. What it was there. And so she contacted the government health services there in Canada and was like, "Hey, I need like, a new chairlift thing because this old one's like busted or whatever." Then, and they're like, "Well, we could euthanize you." And it's like, what? Like all she's asking for is a chairlift, you nut jobs. Like, why the fuck are you trying to kill her now? And then you've seen other ones like that too, where it's like some like healthy like 24, 25-year-old kid or whatever the case be. It's just like maybe seasonal depressed or whatever the case be, and they're like, "Well, we can put you in this death chamber instead." And it's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, it's just insane is what it is. So, yeah, Canada's just crazy like that, man. And that's what happens when you have, the universal healthcare stuff up there, when you got, people trying to wait on like some various biopsy or whatever the case be that turns into like stage 3 or 4 colon cancer or something then. Because they have to wait like 7 years for some fucking doctor or whatever it is there. So, actually, speaking of that, that was another thing I thought was interesting too. And this is something I'm going to go grab from our X page right now that I think about it before we leave today, because I didn't discuss that what it is. Let's see here. Go to my profile. It was something related to COVID recently that came out. And I thought this was very interesting, given the fact that I was watching the most recent season of Swamp People last night. And I found out that apparently that Junior Edwards guy that was part of that show apparently passed away sometime last year from stage 4 colon cancer. And, someone who is a stage 1 colon cancer survivor and has, be almost 10 years now, come more specifically in May, it'll be 10 years. It really hits close to home with what it is there. And specifically, where's that now? Yeah, here we go. This was, I posted this to our page, discussing why people need to be brought up in crimes against humanity is what it is here. And I'm talking about specifically in the state of Ohio, Mike DeWine, Amy Acton, Merrick Ramaswamy, etc. Because they're part of the lockdowns and stuff, dude, and part of the death jabs and everything else that got put in my mom's arm and everybody else's arms for that matter, and directly led to their deaths. So you got this one where it's hundreds of studies now prove COVID-19 quote-unquote vaccines, which would be the mRNA stuff, are one of history's largest cryogenic exposure, carcinogenic exposures linked to turbo cancers, deadly disorders, and even striking young people. It's a full-blown health crisis. So, yeah. And like I said, that one's about just under 2 minutes long. And this is another one that people never really talk about, which is vaccine shedding. Because this is when you go to the actual original article, or I should say the original video page there, you had this person saying, people get the measles vaccine and shed the virus for up to 29 days, literally causing measles. it's the same thing with most of these so-called vaccines, dude. It's all vax shedding is what it is. And I know for a fact that's exactly how I got COVID back in like 2021, 2022 time period. My mom had gotten the shots is what it is. I didn't know she got the shots is what it is. And she was sitting there vax shedding on me every single day for like months and months after she took that shit. And then I almost died that December because of it, dude. And that's what's fucked up too. And I'm almost wondering if it wasn't something where she had gotten the second dose like that day and then like coughed in my general direction or whatever the case be. I was like walked into her like her coughing, virus is there or whatever. Because it was really fucking weird the way that I got this shit. Because this is back when I was hanging out at Guns and barbecuing those guys. And it was after one of John's casts that night. I was basically chilling out in the back chat with those guys. And I was feeling fine and stuff like that. I was feeling fine all show. I was feeling fine for the most part. And it's just like I was talking to, I think it was DJ Playnice or somebody that's what it is there. Or it was our friend Krabby Turtle. I'm not sure which one of those guys it was. But all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, I just felt like complete shit that day is what it is. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like it's almost like it just hit me like randomly. So I don't know if it was just got in my system that day or something like that. Or maybe it was like a week before that, who knows. But it finally apparently broken through my immune system is what it is there. And had just completely like leveled my ass then, dude. And I was seriously like, I was probably in bed for about 2 weeks, honestly, with that shit. Like I came like probably this close to dying, honestly, from it. And I guarantee it was because I had been vax shed on what it was there from the fucking virus themselves, what it is in there. So actually wouldn't be surprised a lot of my current health problems right now are actually based on that shit, what it is, man. Being exposed to that crap secondarily is what it is. It's like second and third hand smoking, more or less, is what it is, man. You can still die from that shit. For those who don't know what third hand smoking is, basically when you have somebody who is a smoker, either smoking around you or smoking around a home or an apartment, whatever it is there, that shit basically gets on the walls. Obviously, it gets into clothing, it gets into everything. So if you live with somebody who smokes and they're smoking around you and it gets on their clothing and that clothing goes in the wash of your clothing, like, doesn't matter how clean that gets, dude, it's still going to be shitty is what it is, man, because they got like nicotine and tar and stuff like that, and there's what it is there. So you're going to get third-hand exposure from smoking from clothing is what it is in most cases, or even, somebody picks up a glass or something like that, like somebody, is drinking a glass of water, whatever the case be, and now they got nicotine and tar all over the glass is what it is, and now you're going to, wash and use later is what it is then or something. So yeah, it's all bad stuff is what it is, man. So anyway. But yeah, it's just very fucking irritating. And I think my mail just went. Yeah, so the mailman's going right now. I don't know if he's coming down here or if he's moving around in the back there to bring a package or something to somebody, maybe. Just realized I need to check my Amazon account because I know I ordered some stuff the other day. I'm not sure if it got shipped or not. Because it'll be here in a couple of days, or it'll be here today. I want to, I'm not sure. So let me just check that right now. Yep, looks like it's going to be here in a couple of days still. Yeah, let's check these out right now. Okay, that one was ordered. Hasn't been shipped or anything yet. What about this other one here? Okay, that one is coming from Amazon then, apparently. When was this one shipped out, actually? Come on, give me the fucking details, people. I just want to see the damn update for this, Jesus. You're telling me it's been shipped out. Some of the fucking details, man. Reminds me of that movie Brick. The dude's like calling for details. So, Yeah. Whatever. Seems like it'll be shipped out sometime. Here's what it is. Hopefully my license will get here pretty soon too, because that'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. So I'm assuming it'll be here sometime in April though. I mean, it could be here next week, so that'd be so that'd probably be I'm guessing either sometime next week, which would be the 27th, 28th, or it'd be like the 3rd or 4th would be my guess then. So who knows? I want to try to hit up the gun shop tomorrow. I don't know if that'll happen or not yet. Because I'm going to use my current ID and the piece of paper thing that they gave me with the new one and see if they'll take this confirmation or not. Because I know they have done that in the past, obviously, but at the same time, it's like hard to say because it's not a physical ID. It could delay me or something. That's what it is there. But I do want to get those lowers, and I really wanted to pick up those what it is then. So because I just feel like something's going to pop off in the coming months, and I want to make sure I have those on the AR uppers I got, and just have a couple more ready to go in case something does pop off before I leave. Here's what it is then. Because I'm pretty sure I can pretty much trust everybody in the complex right now that I live in. If I need to arm up some people, is what it is there. So, and there could be at least 4 of us then that would be armed, and then I know there's a couple others too on the other side there in the first one that I would at least sort of trust now is what it is. So that'd be about maybe 2 or 3 more there. So that'd be about 7 people that I could potentially arm up with something is what it is then. So now granted, I don't know about the capability of some of these people because, obviously some of them are a little elderly is what it is there. Like the woman in the first complex there is pretty old. So I don't know if she'd be a good shot or not if that'd be the case, but I know there are some younger guys here is what it is, and some younger ladies here is what it is, so I could easily see arming up some of these people is what it is if they don't have anything themselves. If it came to that, obviously, but, again, like, unless I'm controlling a group of people, I'm not going to give them a bunch of guns is what it is, man. So, actually, I wouldn't say controlling, I should say commanding group of people is what it is there. So I really don't know a whole lot about the people that are around me right now is what it is, even though I've been here, a year now is what it is. So, but yeah, needless to say, the COVID stuff is interesting. The back shitting stuff people are bringing out now is very interesting too. And I mean, it's all, some serious shit needs to be discussed, man, and nobody's really discussing it, it seems like. So definitely need to be discussing this more than it is then. Oh, fuck. I got a reply from somebody this morning because I was talking about swamp people, and I said it was silly how you don't have multiple guns and stuff like that in these gator boats, and they're gator hunting there is what it is. And some dude responded back and was like, "Oh, it should be your daily carry." And it was like a rifle and 2 handguns, and I'm just like, "It's a little much, bro." Like, and I'm not opposed to well, I don't know about that one. Well, again, it depends, Because let's discuss about car carry and stuff like that for a minute there, man. Unless you have like a sedan or something like that, where you can have like let's go ahead and say Supernatural is a great example of it actually with the San Martin Winchester there, where they had like their whole big ass arsenal in the back of a vehicle, that could be locked obviously. That being said, that trunk could also be popped if it needed to be popped with like a crowbar or something. So no matter what, like no vehicle is going to be, 100% good to go, man. Like you're still going to have, disadvantages there, what it is. And it's like, especially if you leave it in the actual main part of the vehicle where you can have, somebody like bust a window in and then jack it or whatever the case be, which is what's happening a lot in Columbus, Ohio right now is what it is. My sister found out about that a couple months ago, actually, when she was hanging out with her boyfriend guy during Christmas time, because they were at, it was in, oh God, what's that area now? Polaris Parkway area. They were at some hotel there is what it is. And apparently there's like a gang of people that are around there now and have been for the last year or so now is what it is, that will randomly break into guest cars and hotel parking lots so it is there because they're trying to steal guns from underneath the seats. They're trying to find guns in the consoles, wherever it is there. So that's also, by the way, if you're going to leave a handgun in your vehicle, you should either have it in a lockbox under the seat or you should have it locked in the glove box is what it is that can't be busted into very easily. So that way you can actually have it be a secured, weapon and stuff like that. Or, again, I would say trunk, but if they're going to break in your car anyway, like it's kind of hard. Well, that's another thing too. They could easily pop the trunk there is what it is. So it doesn't really matter then at that point, unless you're going to have it again in like some kind of like a secure safe kind of thing is what it is there. So, which that's another one about like car carrying and stuff. Like I've seen a lot of people that have done things like that where they've outfitted things and things in like trucks and whatnot. And like, I don't disagree with it, honestly. Like if you're going to carry, especially if you're going to carry a bunch of guns in a vehicle, like you should really have like some kind of like almost like a steel box or steel case or something. That's what it is there where people can't easily break into it then. Now, granted, that being said, we kind of saw that recently with, I believe it was either ICE vehicles or FBI vehicles, one of the two, where you had all those Antifa and BLM type of douchebags and then terrorists and stuff like that. And obviously, it was illegal aliens and things like that that were leading the charge there, where they just busted in the back of the vehicles and then they just took like a tow strap or something like that. And we're just like yanking out like these actual metal racks and stuff like that that were in the vehicles that had like weapons in them and like various files in them and stuff like that. They were stealing and stuff and doxing agents and shit like that. So yeah, like nothing's ever secure, dude. Like, so it's really, it's hard to say what the best option is. Like really, I think the best option is concealment is what it is there. Like if people just don't know it's there, like they're not going to be able to take it or whatever. So it's almost like hiding in plain sight, but at the same time, it's like you're needing to hide it in like such a way where like only you know where it's at or whatever the case be. Like that's one thing I do like about like certain trucks too, is I actually saw something really cool. It was, I forget if it was like a Dodge or it was like a Ford or whatever. I'm not sure exactly what kind of truck it was, but they basically outfitted the back of it though to where it still had a functioning taillight, but you could basically pull the, like you basically pushed, I think it was something on the side of the, what do you call it now? It was like right behind the back door or whatever of the vehicle, and it was like on the side of the flatbed part or whatever. They like pushed something in and then like pulled something out or whatever, and it like popped this thing, and they basically yank out the entire back panel area where the back tail light was, and it became like this whole storage area where they had like, it was a pretty cool, I think it was a lever action rifle or something in there and like a handgun or something with it. So that could be a cool little deal or whatever, but like again, it just depends. But yeah, you should definitely have like the easiest, and that's the thing about like carrying like handguns and stuff that are much easier than carrying like rifles or any kind of long guns. What it is there is you can conceal a handgun yourself pretty easily. It's much harder to be able to conceal, any kind of long gun on you for that matter, whether it be your standard 16-inch AR-15, whether it be a shotgun, whether it be anything like that. That's what it is there. Whereas you could be constitutionally carrying, 2, 3, 4 handguns for that matter. Nobody even knows it. Versus, it's going to be pretty hard to like shove an AR pistol down your fucking pants is what it is, man. Like these idiot YN kids do. I swear to God, I saw a photo the other day. It was some Cincinnati fucking black gangbanger group or whatever down there. And they were a little gang. That's what it is, man. Like the 13th Street Crips or some bullshit like that or something like that. And you had like 6 or 7 of these morons that just had like, it was like Glocks with switches on them and like full extendo mags and shit, 33 round sticks and stuff like that. And then you had like the last retard who literally shoved an AR pistol down his fucking pants, and I'm like, please God, tell me this dude just blows his dick off when he tries to pull that thing out because he's too stupid and fucking flips the switch from safe to fire with one in the chamber. And apparently it has happened in the past with some of these people. Like unfortunately it's not like them blowing their dicks off, but it's like they like shoot themselves like almost right in the femoral artery is what it is then, and like barely make it. So yeah, it's just so stupid is what it is, man. And it's like they act like they're all hood and shit like that, but it's like you're just the worst example of lack of gun safety in this country, dude. Because the fact of the matter is, if you want to talk about actual gun safety, it's using both hands, man. It's using actual, things that exist out there in nature that were created specifically for these things that it is, man. Like there's a reason why you have slings for guns. There's a reason why you have, places on a firearm, especially on a long gun, that can be, a quick detachment swivel on there where you can just pop one of those in there and then put a fucking sling on it then. And that's how you retain the gun. That's how you hold the gun properly on yourself. That's how you don't put it down your fucking pants like a goddamn retard is what it is. So, yeah, it's a bunch of shit, honestly. But, and that's another thing, going back full circle to multi-man action types and stuff like that, dude. That's what I hate about these people so much, is because you'll have one of these women use a very preventable tragedy to push for gun control, when in reality, she should be calling out her own fucking race. She should be calling out her own fucking neighborhood of people who are responsible for her child's death is what it is there, man. And that's the problem. That's my biggest gripe, honestly, personally, with the black communities, what it is in the country, is that they take no responsibility, no accountability for the absolute shit criminals within their ranks is what it is. Like, every other race, whether it be white, Asian, etc., dude, we all take responsibility for these people, and we're like, nope, get them the fuck out of society, put them in prison, put them to death, whatever it is there. But yet, God forbid, people call out YNs, God forbid they call out the fucking criminal element within their, own race is what it is there, and take responsibility for why these fucking pieces of shit exist in the first place there, man. But nope, can't have that as what it is there. Can't have actual race realism, can't have actual, discussions about, racial topics. But God forbid every other race wants to become tribalistic, except for white people is what it is there, man. So that's one thing I have realized recently, is it seems like there's a lot of young white guys now that are finally becoming tribalistic is what it is now. And realizing that white people need to protect our own is what it is right now, which is very true, honestly, dude, because when we as a race only make up somewhere between like 7 and 8% of the population currently, and declining because of all the genocide going on against our race, it's time to stop talking about minorities and start talking about us as a minority, because we are, is what it is, dude. White people are a minority in this nation, and this entire world is what it is. And it is getting worse and worse, dude. And when you have these ethnic invasions, when you have these cleansings, et cetera, there, when you have these genocides, is what it really is at the end of the day. It's not okay, man. What we're like, that's what pisses me off the most about Trump, honestly, right now, is what it is he brought in some of the people from South Africa, but not a whole lot, dude. And it should have been an open invite to every white person in South Africa that would be genocided otherwise. There should have been an automatic invite to the United States for actual protected status forever, is what it is there. Like, fuck all these fucking pieces of shit from India. Fuck all these fucking pieces of shit from various Islamic countries, dude. Kick them all the fuck out. Bring in a bunch of white folks from South Africa, from the UK, etc., that are going to be genocided otherwise in the coming years and decades. Have America be a super white country again, and then we just shut off all immigration forever is what it is for the next 100+ years is what it is then. It'll be a two-stage thing, actually. We do it for 100 years to begin with, and after 100 years, when we figure out we don't need immigration ever again is what it is, then that's when you do it permanently is what it is after that first century. So, and that could easily be something done right now from current time to 2126. And then, when 2126 rolls around, just reap forever is what it is, man. So that's if humanity even survives that long is what it is. Which that is something else I want to talk about today before we leave, which is the recent Meteor crashes here in Ohio, which is basically, some said it was a meteor, others are saying it was a small asteroid now that hit Ohio here this past week, which was apparently a ton chunk of outer space. But I'm gonna find it here. I thought it was here, but now I can't seem to find the main one I was looking for earlier. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so there's a couple pieces of this meteorite found, or asteroid found. There was this cool ass one right here. That was just a giant fucking piece. And then there was another piece that was much smaller that somebody had in their hand. Which is this one right here. What I thought was interesting too about these is I would not be surprised if we actually had like a Venom symbiote or something come from one of these things, dude. Either that or it'd be something crazy where it'd be like almost like Green Lantern powers or something like that, except it'd be like more like Black Lantern powers. So, I don't know. That'd be kind of cool though, to get like superpowers off of one of these rocks and stuff like that. Just have it be like, have it like shape itself into like a ring or something on your finger, or like some kind of necklace or something that you're wearing or something. So, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised in the least if that was like the beginning of some stuff right now, because I know there was that talk like a year or two ago about how there was some like giant asteroid or meteor or whatever that was going to hit the Earth. So who's to say this isn't like a prelude to that, where it's like a smaller one or something like that, and it would be something like that movie Greenland, which I recently watched the sequel to that one. Really wasn't that good, man. That's one of those movies that did not really need a sequel to it at all. I think the first one was good enough. Sequel was just like, what the fuck, man? Just weird. So, anyway. But I have not eaten today, though, and it's almost 5 o'clock right now, so I'm going to go ahead and go make some stuff right now. In my air fryer, I think. And then we'll use up the couple of buns I got left right now. We'll do whatever after that. So, I ended up taking a nap, too. I was in my bed this morning for a few hours. I ended up passing out. And then basically woke up, texted my cousin, was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it, bro. Because we were supposed to go out this morning, obviously. And now we're just going to go out tomorrow, so it is then. Do some stuff. But, yeah. I ended up getting about a 2-ish hour power nap after that, and it was good, but it didn't. I wish I'd been able to like reposition my back or whatever in the position where I could have actually slept a couple more hours in the bed, because I definitely needed about 2 or 3 more hours of sleep in there I didn't really get. And unfortunately, it's definitely affecting me now is what it is. So most likely I'm going to grab something to eat here in the next 10 to 15 minutes is what it is, and then I'll around 5-ish or so, I'll probably eat real quick and then maybe just take a nap for a couple hours or something then. So I do want to mention something real quick. I don't know if there's been something up with this dude or what's going on. I noticed the Nightmare Hunters podcast is no longer doing stuff right now for the last couple of weeks now. I don't know if those guys went on a trip then or if they're got too close to the government secrets is what it is there and got kind of murked out is what it is, man, because I noticed with like there should have been, seems like there should have been a couple different shows in the last couple of weeks now, and that DA Roberts guy seems to be MIA, and so is everybody else for that matter. So I don't think they have a Discord or anything like that. So I would just join the Discord and figure out what the fuck's going on. But I don't know if anybody has information out there about those guys. I gotta appreciate it because I am fairly worried about these dudes right now. That something may have happened to them, whether it be they actually went out to the Land Between the Lakes or Drury Mincy, one of those places like that. They're obviously cryptid heavy areas and maybe got killed by some cryptids, or it could be a situation where they just took a couple weeks off or something like that. Who knows? But I don't know. It's very worrisome when you don't have information and nothing has been provided, really, is what it seems like, for updates of like, hey, we're, doing our trip or whatever now or something like that. So it's very worrisome when you're used to having a YouTube channel that does at least three different episodes a week there and hasn't done shit for 2 weeks now is what it is. So yeah, very suspicious is what it is. But anyways, like I said, if anybody has any info on that DA Roberts guy or Robbie or Doc, any of those guys like that, like, let me know, man. Or if there's even an article out there, potential, disappearances or something like that, I'd appreciate to know as well. It just seems very weird that they've been, like I said, MIA for about 2 weeks now is what it is. Almost 3 weeks, I think it'll be. So anyway, that's about it for today, though. I will be back. I'm not exactly sure when yet. Probably tomorrow. I'm thinking sometime tomorrow. Lazy Boy Saturday. I obviously do. I'm going to go back again. Apologize for not doing one of those last week as well. Again, I was so between what's going on with my jaw and the amount of various gummies I had taken that weekend. Like, it just was not a good day, man. Between like Friday and Sunday of last week, I was just completely out of it. I didn't even know where the fuck I was half the time when it is there. So I was almost to a green out is what it was, but not quite. Actually, the one thing I think I wasn't a green out at one point, but I also know how many of the gummies I can now take without it being, a situation of me being able to function anymore is what it is then. So, which is somewhere between 4 and 5 for those interested. So that's about half a bag, give or take. But anyway. Which basically equates down to, I'm using this thing right now. Yes, so there's 30 milligrams per gummy in these. So that's about 150, give or take. About 120, 150, someplace in there is where I get kind of out of it. So, which, if I'm not mistaken, officially today, these can no longer be bought in the state of Ohio because of the dickhead fucking governor and the piece of shit General Assembly right now is what it is, a bunch of rhino assholes. They need to all be primaried the fuck out on May 5th is what it is. Because they openly screwed over our constitutional right to be able to have something to help our pain and suffering and stuff like that. What it is there, man. For their big pharma buddies. So, anyway. Unfortunately, that was another thing I wanted to talk about earlier today. There was a group that was behind the referendum thing. I think it was a referendum. I'm not sure it was a referendum or what exactly it was. It may have just been a ballot issue, but they had like 30 days to get like 250,000 signatures to put the particular thing on the ballot to basically do away with that Senate bill that denied our right to buy, gummies and vape shops and stuff like that anymore now. And unfortunately, they did not get the signatures they needed in that time period, which makes sense. I mean, you got 30 days to get, 250,000 signatures. You're not going to happen, obviously, if it's all volunteer stuff. My biggest gripe is I don't understand why there's not multiple lawsuits from thousands of businesses in the state right now, because you literally have between Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Canton, Akron, Alliance, etc. here, there's at least several thousand different vape shops that sold the gummies. There's at least several thousand vape shops that most of their business was CBD and Delta 9, Delta 8 products is what it is, man. So to put these people out of business because you want to be some fucking scumbag nanny state cunt is the biggest problem right now, is what it is, dude. And this is what Mike DeWine's bitch ass is. It's exactly what fucking all these other assholes are, which is absolute bullshit because, like I said, to begin with this whole thing, Mike DeWine, Amy Acton, Vera Ramaswamy, all these fucking people should all be facing crimes against humanity charges right now, especially DeWine for the Vax-A-Million shit, because he literally put death needles into people's fucking arms, including my mother's, for some bullshit chance to win $1 million, which in of itself was completely unethical and unconstitutional, number one. Number two was the fact that this motherfucker embezzled and misused funds that were supposed to be for a statewide COVID check to do that bullshit scheme. And that's just one of the many reasons why DeWine needs to be put on death row right now. For crimes against humanity is what it is right now, dude. And the same thing with Acton for the lockdowns, the same thing with Vivek for his fucking part and all that shit too as well. So, minimum these people should be life imprisonment. Never be heard of them again, what it is there. And it's the same thing across the line. You got people like Kathy Hunkel now who's bitching. That was another thing I thought was funny this week, actually. It's like 3-4 years ago, she was bitching about all these billionaires and everything else like that, leaving New York and stuff like that. And she's like, yeah, if you don't like it, you can flee to Florida or whatever the case be. And now it's like a couple days ago, she was bitching and moaning about, like, please come back. We need your money to do all this socialist bullshit now that Ma'am Dawn wants to put in place. And it's like, you can fuck off, bitch. She's another one that should be in prison right now for crimes against humanity right now, dude. And be on death row for that shit. Because as a sitting lieutenant governor in 2020, she was actively next to Cuomo while both of these assholes helped kill over 1 million New York City residents, dude. Like, they killed over 1 million New Yorkers in that state, man, because of that shit. Because they were literally having hospitals blow people's lungs out with ventilators and shit. They were having all kinds of shady shit like that going on there to make COVID deaths way worse than they actually were. And at the end of the day, you had them, and it was like Bill de Blasio and some other people that were buying up crazy amounts of property there in New York State, and specifically New York City is what it is there, of all these various rent-controlled apartments where the people were killed off from and stuff like that. It was. There's like so much fucking crimes against humanity stuff going on there right now. It's not even funny, bro. And nobody seems to want to talk about this stuff ever. And it blows my mind, honestly, dude, that we're allowing this shit to go on as a society without, taking up arms against a fucking tyrannical government. Honestly, at this point is what it is, man. So, but who's to say that won't come sooner rather than later, honestly? Because, as we all know, not all revolutions start as revolutions, some of them start as civil wars. And it could easily be a civil war to start out with and then eventually become a revolution of some kind. So, who knows? But that's better for today, though. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day on that one. I'm just kind of sick and tired of all of it, man. All these fucking people are like the worst of the worst is what it is, man, and nobody's holding them to account what it is, man. Hopefully that will change very soon, but who knows? So, like I said, they'll be out probably most of tomorrow, honestly, I'm guessing. I need to talk to my cousin, call my cousin here in a couple of minutes. See if he'll pick up now and see what time he wants to go and do that stuff in the mornings, what it is then, or early afternoon then. Because I'm guessing it'll probably be around like 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon is what I'll be doing the Slicey War episode. If I don't do tomorrow, I'll do it Sunday for sure. We'll be discussing 3 fixed blades in that episode. There is one that is a N690 steel. There's one that is DC53, and there is one that is a 154 CM. So all 3 of those blades, I believe their original price was somewhere between like $70 and $80. I paid about half that for them each. So it was like I think 35 to 40 each or something like that it was there, which was a little bit. I don't usually go above like 20, 25 usually on a knife, but again, exceptions to the rules what it is there. When you can't get it for more than half off is what it is there. I definitely want to get what I can for that because it is good steel is what it is, man. And it's just interesting to have those kind of blades as it is done. So like I said, we'll discuss those here the next day or two is what it is, and then we'll go through a bunch of stuff is what it is at the end of the day. I might try to do like a cardboard cut with those guys as what it is then, because I have a couple different boxes here right now that I can use for some stuff, or I can just take a knife and just like cut right through one of the things, and then nothing else, just like cut like a strip of it off with each one of those knives as what it is then, just to show it there how slicey they really are as what it is then. So, but yeah, like I said, it's almost 5 o'clock right now. I'm gonna go ahead and I don't know if I'll make dinner or I'll make maybe a late lunch is what it is. Maybe I'll make an early dinner and then maybe make like a secondary thing later on or something then. So yeah, I think I'll throw some of the sausage link things into the air fryer or something then. Hopefully when I go out tomorrow I'll be able to pick up some brats or something then, because I really want some freaking brats. I don't know what the hell's with the Walmart these days, dude. Like the last 4 or 5 times I've been there now. Like they had like a whole freezer section like a month and a half, 2 months ago now. Yeah, it's probably more like January or February, somewhere in there. Where they had like this whole section where it had, those packs of, I think it was like Walmart brand brats or something in there. And now it's like I can't find them anywhere there. So I don't know if they're just being sold out like crazy or if they're just non-existent anymore in the store or whatever it is, because they're so good, man. Like that's the thing, like when you really want a bratwurst, like it tastes so good, but then they have all these little smoked sausage, like almost like hot dog looking like things is what it is there. And it's like those aren't bad. That's what I'm gonna make here in a little bit is what it is there. But they're not as good as the brats is what it is, man, because of the brats, like they don't, especially in the air fryer there, for the same time period, the brats will seem to cook through, but they won't like burn out the casing is what it is there. Whereas with these smoked sausage things, it's the opposite, where we're putting a little bit too long, like it'll just like fizzle out that casing like crazy and just make it taste like crap basically. Like it almost be like sticking a hot dog into a fire and just letting it burn basically. And they got all that char around it or whatever the case be, or if it's on the grill or whatever the case be, and it gets cooked too long and it gets all that like weird like puffiness is what it is there. Yeah, that's kind of what these Eckrich ones are like that I had recently, and they were not the greatest when they were done like that. So I had to put them in like 15 minutes or so now. I think I did it last time about 20 minutes or so. So I'll do them about 15 minutes this time around and see if they cook and look better than what it'll be. But yeah, other than that, I'm gonna go do that in a couple minutes here, and then I will make a couple calls to my sister and some other people as what it is then, and figure some stuff out there. But other than that, it's been fun. It's been real. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will be back, like I said, most likely tomorrow, early afternoon or mid-afternoon, someplace in there. And if I'm not back tomorrow, I'll definitely be back on Sunday for a Slicey Boy episode. That's what it is. And most likely I will do another, I'm going to cash in some lottery tickets when I go out tomorrow. That's what it'll be. And hopefully it'll be, I'll be able to do another laundry stream then pretty soon. Most likely I'll get a bunch of dollar tickets this time around is what it is then. Just because, I want to see if I can actually do a bunch of stuff. That's what it is or not. But who knows? It depends. If I go to the Walmart, then I can find like some good, like if they still have the holiday cash ones or whatever in the machine there, I'll take a bunch of those ones what it is then. If they don't, what I'll end up doing is I'll get like some maybe $1 ticket or $2 tickets what it is or something, and just buy a bunch of them. That's what it'll be. So anyway, but that being said, that's about where I'm at for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream. It's way past time for the anti-gun orgs to be labeled as a terrorist organization as they actually are. There are way too many nitwits in our society right now that have main character syndrome when they're, like I said, in reality, they're either some side character, some supporting cast, or some unwanted extra that is there. And RIP to legend Chuck Norris, who unfortunately passed away today at the age of 86. It is very sad to see him go from this earth. And it's very sad to see that there'll be generations of kids that will never know the mystery and the greatness that was Chuck Norris. Gotta do some Chuck Norris jokes. There's what it is, dude. That's one. Actually, before I go today, I do want to mention that real quick. A bunch of years ago, this was back in like 2000. So after I'd come back from Columbus, so it would have been probably about 2015, maybe 2014, somewhere in there, maybe 2016, somewhere in there. I'd gone down to Cincinnati with a bunch of guys to go to some Star City Games tournament down there. And one of the guys had brought a book with him. It was a bunch of Chuck Norris jokes is what it was. And that's one thing I do remember was how fun that car ride was. And he was just reading off like facts and stuff because it was like, it was basically like jokes of like, it was like sort of like weird like factoid jokes or whatever of like Chuck Norris and stuff like that. And it was like Chuck Norris splitting rocks with his beard and stuff like that, and just various crazy shit like that. So, but yeah, he was a good dude though. From everything I've seen though, dude, he was one of the few that just seemed like a genuinely good guy, honestly. So it's a pretty big loss there is what it is. But again, everybody has to go at some point, man. Dude was 86. I'm guessing it was kind of natural causes what it is there, most likely natural causes of just old age catching up to him finally or something like that's what it is. So, but who knows? Either way, sad. So, but yeah, on that note though, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, stay safe. Always be carrying, always be situationally aware, always be ready for any kind of threat, especially as we are going into the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, because you never know what kind of Islamic terrorism will strike, especially when we keep seeing a ramp up of Islamic terrorist attacks throughout New York City, throughout New York State, and a bunch of other similar areas like that. They're all Democrat-run hellholes. They're all anti-gun hellholes for that matter too. So, anyway, till later. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out. I will be back, like I said, Monday with a Slicey Boy episode. We will discuss fixed blade stuff. And then from there, the next stream will probably be next Friday is what it is. So, or actually, I guess technically the next stream I'd be on after that would be Honda's Tuesday stream, most likely. So, but yeah, other than that, it's been fun. It's been real. Peace out. Stay safe. Later, y'all.